Tēnā koe and welcome to my educational philosophy that I have grown throughout this year through my practice and through my learning. I've used the analogy of drops going into water and showing a rippling effect. And I like this analogy because it represents me and how my learning can then impact other people. And I like it how the two droplets are falling into the middle of the pond and the ripples are going outwards. So my learning is moving outwards into the community around me. And I like the idea of learning being like water. It's not linear. It can take many different forms and it's messy. It's complex and lots of different, it can be used in lots of different ways and in lots of different systems. And I guess another part of my philosophy is Bronfenbrenner's ecological system of learning. And in terms of the droplets, it's like the first circle is the microsystem, which he talks about how learning comes firstly from your environment around you and the people closest to you. And then the mesosystem is the next layer, which is the relationships that are around you, like the quality of the relationships. And within those relationships are the values and the beliefs that are held by those people. And so to me, it's really important, like that the Treaty of Waitangi is incorporated into my philosophy because my beliefs enable students, like how directly impact the learner's ability to gain knowledge, which is from the idea of Waitanoa in their paper on cultural capital and how that affects education. So it's really important that within my practice I reflect te reo, and that in fact it's normalised in my practice and that it is also localised. So for me that means working with the lovely Ngāi Tahu and making sure that the waiata that I'm encouraging learners to sing and respond to is actually their waiata from the local area, and that I have a really good working knowledge of important local landmarks such as the Waimakariri River. And I love it how this is all linked into Bronfenbrenner's theory and how it's the idea of how like I can impact so much learning within my practice and within my community. To continue the analogy, part of my philosophy is also grounded in Lily Nielsen's active learning approach, which is based on children that are blind or that have low vision actively learning within the environments themselves as opposed to being passive recipients of knowledge. And I guess to me, in terms of this analogy, it's like a child getting a drink of water. So they learn how to do that themselves, like they learn to quench their own learning thirst as opposed to someone pouring the water for them. And, you know, sometimes this can be seen within my practice where people who may not know better treat the children as passive learners as opposed to active learners, whereas active learners will learn how to reach for the glass even though they can't see it, and they will learn where their mouth is and how to take the cup up to their mouth and become independent and build on their own learning and build the neurological wiring in their own brain, which is really exciting for me to see. In terms of engagement, it's the main person that the main academic, I guess, area that has resonated with me is Barry Carpenter's book on engagement. Sorry, I've actually just got it here. Engaging learners with complex learning difficulties and disabilities. And because this is an inquiry-based approach, it looks and has a few different ideas for engagement templates. It means that the individual learners are able to have their needs met, and it's just really fantastic in terms of how to create engagement for learners that have complex learning difficulties and disabilities. In terms of the collaborative aspect of my philosophy, I've really enjoyed meeting and actually learning from Mandy Amentis, and her readings and the chapters have been really interesting on learning to, from, with and about. And what I've realised is that I need to learn about other people and people need to learn about me, and then together we can work with the student and the whānau and the other specialists, having those common goals. And I know she's quite a fan of Wegner, and I also have become a fan of Wegner as well, and his idea of community of practice, and how the key aspect of that is that all the people within the community are really passionate about collaborating to not necessarily solve problems, but to work, not work as silos, but work across our teams. So like that breadth and depth of information, so that we can get the best outcomes for our learners. And finally, in terms of my philosophy, I think the water also represents like some aspects of Te Whare Tapawhā by Jury in terms of well-being. And two things that have really helped me this year have been swimming. So I've taken up swimming, and also this year I've had quite a lot of tears because I've went through a separation and also experienced some loss during the Christchurch shooting. So yeah, I think in terms of my own personal life, water has been healing for me, and I just really love the idea that I've come up with an analogy that is really authentic to me, and how it's helped me over the year. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this.